I'm recording. It's in progress. It's
Very
happening.
good.
Mm,
Progressive recording.
yes. One moment after another recorded onto virtual tape.
Tape must not kill tape. I don't know.
I thought you were just going to start. That's why I wasn't saying
Oh,
anything.
Planet of the Tapes. Okay. All right, I'll start. Welcome to Podcast 1999, the podcast about Planet of the Apes.
That's right. I'll
Uh,
fight you today.
I'll fight you. No,
Mm.
wait. It's in our nature. We have to kill each other unless we don't. But apes don't kill anybody except for when they do.
Well, blank should never kill blank. Should be everyone's philosophy, right?
Yeah, except for when you have to.
Mm. Anyway, today, what is it? It's the Gladiator. Episode 2 aired. I guess you're going to get into the Trivian, and maybe I don't know if it was the
I
second filmed or what, but
I don't have production order information, so we're just gonna go with it's episode 2.
that works for me. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, sure. Give us the trivia. Let's go straight to it. Wham
okay,
bam. Thank you, ma'am.
the arena is the only set remaining from the original Planet of the Apes movie, and it was also used in Beneath the Planet of the Apes. So I'm thinking that in Beneath it was like just one of those sets where everyone was just kind of or it might have been where like all the mind freaks were making stuff happen.
I feel like wasn't that a Hello Dolly set? Maybe it's the one where General
Oh yeah.
Ursus is like riling everyone up.
I think it's that, yeah. I think it
Yeah,
might
because
that
they
was
weren't
it.
fighting in that one, right? But yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, yeah. When you see the seating, that's got to be it, right? It's not the New York
There are
stuff.
lots of uses for an arena.
Hmm.
You can fight there, you can yell,
You
you
can do a
can
Pink Floyd concert.
you can just sit there and enjoy the scenery. Anyway,
If
art
nobody else is
walls,
there, if they're having like a naval battle in the arena and you were trying to sit there and enjoy the scenery, you're kind of shafted.
a naval battle, that sounds like it would
That's what
be
they
a
used to in
huge arena.
that's what they used to in the Coliseum, right? They'd stage naval battles.
Yeah, but like the Coliseum was way bigger anyway.
Hmm.
We'll not get into that. I was when you said naval battle, I was just thinking like ships like sailing, and I was like, oh, that sounds pretty big.
Or you get a one of those pools, not dug in, but just you bring that in and you put some like small model boats in there and have a naval battle. You could do that too.
You just get swan boats and you're like pedaling swan boats in circles around each other while you're just like firing blunderbusses at each other.
It's a great idea.
Just
See?
trying not to like knock yourself like off the swan boat with the you fire it backwards and you can direct the swan boat into the other swan boat so you can strangle the guy in the other swan boat. I should write gladiator battles. Clearly missed my calling. I should be a
My daughter has a swan
imperator.
boat phobia.
What was Joaquin Phoenix? Should I be an emperor?
What's that
You
in the
said she was.
Gladiator?
Wait, did you say your daughter was afraid of swan boats?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She has a phobia against swan boats because we got a swan boat when she was like 5 years old, and it was just the two of us. We went to the other side of the lake, but her
Yeah.
legs were too short to paddle, and you needed two people to paddle the boat, so we couldn't get back across the lake, and then had to I waved down a boat to drag us back across.
Maybe she subliminally is afraid of what might happen if I was emperor.
That's probably the case.
Yeah. So anyway, um, just trying to do the thumb sideways
Yeah, but
thumb thing.
you did it off the
My
camera
arm
as
was in the
well.
wrong place. Yeah, my arm's in the wrong place to do that.
Also, isn't it just
Anyway,
closed fist or thumb out, like in any direction?
it's I that actually was like historically inaccurate apparently, but yeah, you go like
It's
you
just
just go.
closed fist is there don't do anything. Thumb out is I don't know. Or the other way.
I think the thing was that thumbs down was actually like don't kill the guy,
Mm,
and thumbs up was do kill the guy, and that was
mm.
the inaccuracy.
You don't want to get that mixed up.
Well, clearly people in this episode consider thumbs up to be killing the guy. Like
Right.
killing the guy
In the
is the good
70s for
or
sure. I mean,
very mad.
that's before revisionist history guys showed up and tried to suggest that maybe the thumb thing was different.
Well, that was the internet, and that came out like the same year that I don't know. The internet was out when Gladiator was out,
It was
but
not.
anyway, speaking of Gladiators, the Gladiators. Art Wallace is the primary writing credit again this week. For you might remember him from the first episode. Our new director is Don McDougal. Born in 1917 in San Francisco, he was mostly TV director who got a start on some Western TV series in the 1950s. You can also see his work in the Star Trek episode The Squire of Gothos. The Bionic Woman, he directed an episode of that, and he also directed 3 episodes of The $6 Million Man, all of them from the Fred Freiberger era. He retired in the mid 80s and passed away in 1991 at the age of 73, but he'll be back to direct 2 more episodes of Planet of the Apes. John Hoyt appears as Prefect Barlow. Born in 1905 in Bronxville, New York. I'm not sure if it's different from the Bronx. Probably is. He racked up a staggering 258 credits between the late 40s and late 80s. You can see him in When Worlds Collide, 2 episodes of The Twilight Zone, The Lateness of the Hour, and Will the Real Martian Please Stand Up? You can hear us talk about that second one.
Yeah, the
Well,
name
you can
was
hear
ringing a
Matt
bell.
talk about both. Yes. X, the man with the X-ray eyes, the Star Trek pilot, The Cage, and he'll be back as Prefect Barlow in 1 more episode of this series. He passed away in 1991, and his final work was 82 episodes of Give Me a Break as Grandpa Kaniski. William Smith plays Tolar.
Hey, update. Bronxville seems to be at the very northern tip of the Bronx, if
Oh,
anyone's
okay.
curious and maybe doesn't
Neat.
already live in Bronxville or something.
Interesting. I wonder if people from the Bronx hate Bronxville
I don't know, it
people.
looks kind of suburban. When you go down a little lower on the map, it gets very dense because it's New York City.
Interesting. Well, William Smith plays Tolar. Much like the other Will Smith, he loves to hit people in this episode. Born in 1933, he started out as a child actor before enlisting in the Korean War, and then he briefly began working on his doctorate before the acting bug got him for good. His career was pretty much evenly split between TV and film, with notable roles in Piranha, Sweet Jesus, Preacher Man, Invasion of the Bee Girls, and an appearance on Buck Rogers in the 25th Century as the Trebor, not to be confused with the Tabor. He passed away in 2021 at the age of 88, and his credits run up until 2020. Mark Singer, the Beastmaster himself, plays Dalton. He was born in 1948 in British Columbia, Canada. Hey, that makes Tolar a pretty young dad. He saw a production of Richard III with Laurence Olivier that made him decide to pursue an acting career. Though as the son of musicians, he acknowledges that performing is in his blood. This is only his third screen credit, but he went on to appear in 1 episode of the 80s Twilight Zone, Dead Space, V. He played the Man-Bat in the first episode of Batman the Animated Series, and of course, Dar in I almost said Bassmaster, 3 Beastmaster films. He's still working as recently as 2024, co-starring with Chuck Norris in Agent Recon, which I'm sure is not a schlocky knockoff in any way at 2.4 on IMDb.
Hmm.
That's today's trivia for today.
Okay, for today. You'd
For
have different
today.
trivia for the Gladiators on a different
Today's
day.
trivia for today, the
Yeah.
day of the days.
I have a story for you that I will now dispense to the everyone's ears.
Do it.
Galen, Verdon, and Burke approach a village and lose their magnetic disc with astronauts' flight info. Since Galen is a chimpanzee, he goes to Barlow, the village's chimp prefect, in an attempt to finesse the disc back. While this is going on, local guerrillas capture Verdon and Burke and add them to the village's gladiatorial pools. It turns out Barlow controls the human population through bread and circuses. They pit Burke against the gladiator champion. Burke defeats him but refuses to kill him. This results in a riot in which Burke and Galen escape. They try to gain the help of the defeated gladiator, but he is too depressed. Fortunately, son Dalton is more receptive, and Gladiator Tolan reluctantly joins the team to rescue the still incarcerated Verdon. The plan basically works, but Tolan dies a hero's death. Dalton decides to stick around town to make things better. Barlow has a reasonable moment to return the magnetic disc, and our 3 heroes walk off in a new direction. I guess it's a different direction than they walked off in last week. I'm not sure. Or it could be the same direction. Maybe they're the original One Direction. I don't know.
One Direction. I do need to say up top. I guess I need to issue a correction for there was still a magnetic disc this week.
Yeah, so,
I
well,
take it that it won't figure in forever because there was a piece of trivia that said that the magnetic disc was dropped. So I'm like, okay, I
It
feel like
might. Well, they did drop it
look
in this
like an
episode,
idiot.
didn't they? They dropped it
I'm
at the
gonna go to
beginning.
IMDb and rate that unhelpful because yeah, I guess they. I don't. I
Also,
don't
I
know.
wonder if it just simply isn't going to be like a real plot point. You know what I'm saying? It's like just this
Yeah.
MacGuffin that never been like develops into anything.
Well, also remember it's like okay, I'm looking directly at this item again, and it
Okay.
says his storyline involving the magnetic disc ended up being dropped by the show's writers, putting an end to the series' only story arc. So it doesn't say when it's dropped.
Okay.
So it
I already
probably
watched the next
is.
episode. I don't think they mention it in the next episode. So maybe this is just a little bit of spillover and then they drop. It might not be completely
Yeah,
inaccurate. So, but it's not clearly stated, I guess, is so if you're gonna write trivia, clearly state the trivia. That's how
I
we
saw
write on
nothing in
IMDb.
yeah, I saw nothing in future summaries. So yeah, yep,
Right. Okay. So,
disc.
how's this one holding up for you, ape wise? I mean, I guess like,
I
is
mean,
everything better than Battle?
um, this didn't work for me as well as the first episode, partly because okay, there's just some guys fighting and they just go and start fighting them for seemingly no reason at all. And then they drop the disc and then it's this problem. They drop the disc. Like things like that don't really like that kind of makes me
Like they're
insane.
setting up a story or something, you know?
It's just like you would never do that. Even if you weren't hiding from the ruling class of apes, you wouldn't just like see some guys fighting and then you go fight them,
Well, my
right?
note is,
Like
dude, keep your head low. Don't jump into a random fight. Are Pete and Alan just idiots who deserve to get gorillaed? If they
kind
ditch the
of.
disc, they may achieve enlightenment. So, or at least they will adapt to this place. So, yeah, maybe they're chasing the wrong horse, you know?
But it's not necessarily that just that they randomly fought some guys. It's that their personalities, their characters so far, there's nothing about their characters that makes me think that they would be guys who would just go fight random guys. If they were like drunks or just maniacs, that would make a lot of sense, right? If they were just
Why don't
like,
we just
I
put out
love
the
fighting.
Why don't we just put out the blanket statement that all astronauts before 1980 are maniacs?
Yeah, probably. Um, and I think
Is
there's a
Buzz Aldrin gonna
really
punch me?
I mean, wait, didn't he punch a flat Earth guy or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, or moon landing faker guy? Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. Cool. He should punch people. He should punch you if you called him a maniac. I don't know.
Well, Charlton
um,
Heston called them all maniacs, didn't he? I mean, he called the
I
whole
th
human race maniacs, but
I think he was just calling the what
the idiots
the
that blew it
guys
up.
who live in a bunker. The Earth was blown up off screen, so we don't really know.
Yeah, I will say,
Uh,
and again, I made the mistake of also watching next week's episode, but that New York 2535 picture is going to continue to bug the hell out of me.
hmm.
They shouldn't have put that in that first episode. That was stupid.
Well, yeah, there's this. It's obvious it's going to be like the you know,
I guess
western, like a western with apes.
yeah, it's not like a tight ship of continuity necessarily, because like you said, it's already like or maybe you said before we hit record, but it's one of the hardest like reboots of a series, like pretty much you can do without, I guess, just totally reinventing the wheel, which is what the newer Apes movies do, right?
Well, that's what I was talking about. Is that the new movies reboot it so hard that you can't. Like, can you imagine if they're just doing one of the new apes movies and then they just decide to put one guy in an ape costume, like in this series, just one guy. He just shows up as like, hey, it would be so insanely weird. And now I hope they do it.
Oh yeah,
But
for sure, that'd be fun.
like someone tries to infiltrate the apes by putting on a disguise like this, and they just figure it out immediately.
Right, right.
But
Um,
anyway, there's a really good message here, but it's just kind of messy. Like
yeah.
it's like I, I think you really get a lot of the meat towards the end, but you know,
Well, one
um,
thing is when they send Pete in to fight, right? It's like a five. It's like a 5 minute fight. Like it's not they live long, but it's like way less active. It's a slow, boring fight with a few like buck fu or Kirk moves.
Yeah,
They keep
yeah.
doing the jump kicks at each other, which doesn't seem very practical because you're leaving yourself open when you do that. But
I mean the opening salvo when he goes and fights those guys and he like drop kicks. What was it, Tolar in the back?
right.
Like that was pretty sick, but it was still pointless.
Oh, when that battle started, by the way, I had the YouTube captions on, which are pretty much garbage for these if you've taken a look at them. And they introduced Tolar as the fighter of Kmart in the captions, and I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, there's jumping ahead, there's that part where they're kind of backstage and he's telling them how actually they killed him by killing his honor or something, and then at one point he's just like, "You," when he points, he does like he's doing like Hulkamania almost.
Yeah, well,
And I
that's
was
his
like, ah,
shtick. He's the big cheese of the town because he's the top gladiator. That's how it works.
he's doing Hulkamania like 10 years early. I guess
Right.
wrestlers were still on TV at this point, but
Yeah,
um
yeah. I don't know much about 70s pro. When did pro wrestling really get kicking?
I mean, there was pro wrestling in the 70s, but I think the thing is that there were a lot of different companies and they sort of all got consolidated by the McMahons in the 80s.
Yeah, I'm just
Because,
wondering
like,
like when pro wrestling like the idea of like having insane stories and stuff started.
I mean, that sort of started. Insane Stories was probably like more like late 80s, but a lot of that came about specifically because, like, these scumbags, like, consolidated a ton of wrestling companies for power, and then they had, like, unlimited money, basically. So then, and unlimited eyeballs, where it's
I
like,
guess I'm just saying since that's our closest thing to gladiator battles in today's society, and I don't know anything about that about pro wrestling before say 1984. You know, like I
well, I
don't know.
mean,
I should
I
read a
would
book about it.
recommend to you and to the listeners to listen to. There's like a 6-part series on Behind the Bastards about Vince McMahon, and it goes into a lot of the like history. It gets pretty dark when he does like sex crimes, but
Oh yeah.
so don't
Um,
listen with your kids. But
right.
it's a very fascinating story that is
So
that's good.
Barlow's more of a stand-up fella then, running this town, running the Gladiator. I
Yeah,
mean, he's basically the Vince McMahon of this
he,
monkey town, right?
he's kind of he's kind of an interestingly gray character because
I
you're
like
kind of
that
like,
because
well,
I mean, in a Star
yeah.
Trek, he's going to be twirling his mustache as hard as possible, you know?
Well, yeah, it's like at first, did you kind of get the feeling like you weren't sure if he knew what Galen was up to or not, but I kind of was suspecting that maybe he was gonna like, drop the hammer on him or something and be like, ha ha ha, you want this disc, do you? I'll kill you.
Yeah.
But
Also,
but then
Galen
he ends,
was doing this the worst way possible. He was like doing like John Lovitz levels of like manipulation. Like, hey, you got the disc? There's no reason I need the disc. That's just
I
curious.
Galen is such an interesting character. Like he's sort of like, yeah, no, don't worry. I'm everybody's friend. I'm an ape. Then he goes in there. He's like he keeps trying to do the talking his way, but also is trying to like snatch it at the same time. Like he keeps just switching his approach up, and then it kind of then the astronauts just mess it all up by trying to steal horses.
I guess he's
And
just
then
like a bad con man is that's not one of Galen's skills.
he's not. Yeah, he's not. He's sort of like somebody who thinks, I don't know, maybe he's like the picture of like when a privileged person suddenly goes on the run and
That
he's
might
like
be part of it, yeah.
he overestimates his status and his abilities.
But I do like that Galen is very distinctly different than we mentioned it last episode, but even more in this one. It's like, yeah, this definitely is not Cornelius or Caesar, right? This is
Yeah.
a very different character. He makes more noises, which is fun too.
He's a great hang so far. Like I wish the astronauts were maybe a little more distinct. They probably will get more distinct as we go on, but they're
Yeah, and
kind of
as I
like the
mentioned
same
last week,
guy.
I just like we did Space 1999 and that Alan Tony template. I'm just like at this point just kind of sticking it onto them, right? Which and that's I mean that's just how I've been watching things. That is not a most people would not watch the show and instantly do that, I think. Or,
Hmm.
I guess there said we had what was it? Mike was saying Starsky and Hutch. I mean, there is a template to get you going, even though we don't know much about the characters yet.
And this does remind me of the Mark of Arcanon, which had like the father-son thing, and it was like the weird relationship with killing. I think they
Step
had
down
like
the
a killing.
costuming though.
No, that wasn't as good as episode as this, but that was also one of the worst Space
Oh no, no, I'm talking about
1989
the Mark of
episodes.
Arcanon having magical costuming.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, the episode wasn't great, but the costumes were fantastic. And the beards, oh my God, this doesn't even have beards. Unless you
Yeah,
count
but
gorilla beards.
they had a ton more money for that. Even then, they had more money than this, clearly. But you know, what's there was never a Space 1999 episode with like 40 humans watching humans kill other humans and yelling "kill, kill, kill, sword, sword."
Right. So we don't get yeah. Um when they first get to the town though, I was definitely thinking of like an 80s like KOA campsite. I don't know if that's something you ever stumbled to. But when I was growing up, sometimes when we were it'd be too cheap for a hotel, so we go camping at the KOA.
Is that like kill or alive? Kill or kill,
Oh, in the
kill
case
or
of this
abstain.
episode? In the case of this
Yes.
episode, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, that's a chain of campsites that maybe are still around. I don't know. I haven't been in the States for a while. Haven't been camping in a while. I don't want to sleep
I,
in a tent.
I'm not a camper. I've only been to like cabin camping, and even that, like one time I bought a tent with the intention of camping at my friend's like destination wedding at a campsite, and I ended up not able to put the tent together and just slept in my car.
Oh, I can put a tent together. I've been in lots of
Well,
tents,
I
but
wish
I
you were
don't love
there,
camping.
but I wish you were there, but I was like, I severely overestimated my ability to learn how to put a tent together while drunk in the
Oh yeah.
woods.
Oh yes. And it was probably dark too.
I was completely hammered.
Yeah,
Yes, it
you
was it
weren't putting
was
that.
pitch black,
That wasn't gonna happen. Okay.
and it was like 2 or 3 a.m.
Yeah. Um, I was thinking, how many apes do we actually see in this episode? I'm just keeping an eye out for how many humans, how many apes, because in the arena it's just Barlow and Galen, right? And then Jason the gorilla shows up. Somehow that
Hmm.
just the gorilla's name is Jason. His boss is Urko, and he's Jason. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's weird. Galen, Urko, Jason the gorilla. Every time I say it, it sounds weird. Don't you think so?
Was there ever I mean, have we even had an ape that had a regular, well, this Dr. Milo had a regular name, so there you
Yeah, I
go.
mean Cornelius is a little weird, but it is a name, I guess.
Yeah,
We've had Corneliuses in reality.
Caesar is, well, that's
I
more of
believe
a last name.
I believe the first person from my family to come from America was a Cornelius Comages, like 400 years ago or
Hmm.
something. So
Wow, that
people have
sounds
that
like
name.
an explorer.
Well, I think he was more of a
Cornelius
immigrant,
Commodus.
but yeah, but early adopter.
But I mean, sure, when he was picking up like ladies, he was like, "Hey, I'm an explorer. I came here on the boat,
Yeah,
USS
but if they're all
boat."
in USS Boat before 150 years before the United States,
Yes, yes,
he's on the
exactly.
USS Boat. Yes.
HMS
Also,
boat.
if you're in America, like you know, early America, does that make everybody there kind of an explorer? It's not, you don't get bragging rights anymore. I mean, if you were
Yeah,
born there and then this guy's like, "Hey, I'm an explorer," it's like, huh? Or you did the same thing, so it's not impressive
yeah.
either.
Well,
So
there you go. Oh, me too.
I
I'm
think that's
also an explorer.
oh, we got something in common. What do you know?
Let's open this map.
Anyway, yeah, I am charting like just how many apes we get in the show. And are
Yeah,
there any others besides those three in this episode? I think that's it.
I don't think so. I wasn't. I was quite the opposite, where I was not really trying to pay a lot of attention to how many apes there were. I was trying to follow the drama.
I am because I'm like I'm gonna see how many background apes they bother putting in. So
Well,
um,
someone is in the credits as a gorilla, so I think there is at least one more gorilla.
yeah, that sounds right. Because Jason, he's not riding alone. He's got maybe at least a gorilla with him. He does next week. So
Yeah,
um,
his friend Robert or something.
no, here's a once again. I mean, it's not a continuity thing because this is a different character. But I was thinking about how horrified Cornelius is by the boxing match and Escape. But then Barlow here is like perfectly fine pitting guys in death matches against each other.
Oh yeah, well also, early on when they're just fighting those guys for no reason, it does cut to reaction shots of Galen just being like, "Ooh," just sort of
Yeah,
like
like
he's sort of into watching it, you
yeah,
know.
yeah. So I think maybe Cornelius is more of an outlier, you know. So when him and Zira end up in 1971 or whatever, like I mean, they really are not representative of ape society.
Well, we have this is the only way to do this because we don't have enough time. It's sort of like any planet from Star Trek. Like I I try not to think about this, but in most cases, except for when you get to spend a lot of time, like a lot of time with a species, like every planet in Star Trek functions as like the monoist of monocultures.
Oh,
Like
exactly.
Klingon,
It
like
took
it
Klingons
would
like
be like
30 years to start having like depth to them, you know?
yeah, it would be like Klingons are like if there was a planet of like one segment of New Jersey, it's like everyone, yeah, it's like it's so weird how similar they all are. It's
So you're saying like the
insane.
Klingons should inhabit part of the Jersey Shore
Yes,
Klingon edition? That'd be
for
great.
sure. But I mean,
Would you get a
theoretically, you could just have a series that is just on whatever Kronos, and then just do a bunch of different types of Klingons because a planet is large. There is, it seems unlikely. I guess the analog would be like if really all those cultures are so um what do you call it? So monoculture
monoical
monocular.
monocle.
There's some monocular. Then it would be like then all humans should kind of have the same culture, right? Like they should all be there. There shouldn't be different accents, different thing. Everybody should kind of be the same person. In
Well,
fact, it's sort of it seems sort of well. I guess it's not far enough in the future for that. I'm like, it should be that thing where, remember, there used to be like magazines where it's like, this is what someone would look like if they were all the races at the same time, and they're kind of like beautiful bronze skinned person with nebulously shaped eyes and whatever. Like humans should all just be that in a
maybe.
thousand
Well,
years.
this is, I mean, the show is giving us, since like you said, it's kind of like a Western thing where they have to go from town to town, you know? So this gives, because the Apes movies, it's just Ape City. They all wear the same thing all the time. That's monoculture as hell, right? Well, it's triculture because you have gorillas, chimpanzees, and orangutans. So you get
Yeah.
three, but they're all pretty like monolithic. So here it's like it's made clear like having gladiatorial battles to control the human population is not like necessarily a normal thing. That's just like what this ape does.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty hypocritical, I think, in on some level. But it's like I won't kill, apes don't kill, but we can tell humans to kill because humans love killing. But also when a human gets out of line, we can shoot them and just say that a human did it.
Right.
Um, uh,
Right. This is just, I mean, Barlow's very much like mid-level bureaucrat, right? Just
yeah,
doing his quote unquote best and making horrible mistakes in the process. I mean, that's usually the real conspiracy theory, right? People making horrible decisions and then trying to cover them up.
yeah. I think most what never assigned to malice, what can be more easily assigned to stupidity.
Exactly. And then whatever stupid fix you do keeps getting perpetrated, right? And now that's the standard, which again, that's what's kind of happening in this town. It's been working, so it's continuing to go.
Yeah, and I guess people like humans like seeing the killing more as much or more than the apes do. I don't it's not entirely clear to me what the humans are getting out of any of this or what the apes are getting out of it.
Well, it's
Uh
kind of hard to track like what is the mental abilities of humans at this point because if we do assume the movies still fit into this timeline, in 900 years humans will be mute. Here it's already been suggested that they're dumber. They don't invent things. So when we spend time with was it Torin and Mark Singer, you know, it's
yeah.
because it's like how sharp are they exactly? I mean, he Tolan doesn't seem that sharp, does he?
I like the idea that maybe this is just a different timeline and maybe humans won't become mute
Mm.
because I hate destiny and I hate fate. So
Well, at least this
if
doesn't have the prequel itis. That's 900 years, so it really doesn't matter
yeah,
which way, it goes because we're here
yeah,
in this
no.
show and theoretically 900 years earlier.
Yeah, I mean it's it would be really difficult to do this show if the humans weren't talking.
It was
If
fun
they're
to
gonna
see,
keep
the Beastmaster himself and like the physical shadow of Daddy because he looked like such a scrawny kid next to, giant, massive Dad. And Dad keeps saying things like, "I bang the crap out of your mother." Did I hear that wrong?
I
You'd just
think
be a
he said something.
splooge on the ground if not for the games.
I will end you if you don't come and go and get me my slippers. I will destroy your face. I will smash your head into the wall until it is red paste.
Right, right. So yeah, I thought, well, except for when he's lying in bed, I guess then he's not super testosterone, but otherwise he just seems to be like some wild, you know, his T levels must be real high, man.
He loves killing, and if you stop him from being able to kill, then he will tell you how you actually killed him
From
by
a
killing
gut
his
shot in
ability to
10
kill.
seconds. If you shoot someone in the gut, I don't think they're going to be dead within 10 seconds. I mean, they are on 70s television, but not in the
Wasn't they
Western though.
shoot
On
him?
Gunsmoke, they're going to have to drag him into the house and it'll take them 3 days to die, right? On Gunsmoke.
Am I crazy, or did he like get shot twice? Wasn't it like he got shot in the gut and he was still coming at him and then got shot a second time?
Oh, okay, that might be the case. I was busy writing my note just a flesh wound to the gut, but maybe while I was
Because
typing that he got shot again.
I
I didn't
thought they
hit
were gonna
pause.
do the Scarface thing where he was just gonna just keep going, just
With
keep
his
coming
have
after him.
mountains of cocaine in front of him.
I mean, he's mountains of steroids probably.
Okay, good point. That's a natural thing in the year 3000.
No, it's just that gorillas take he got his hands on some like gorilla
Steroids.
multivitamins.
He's gonna
He
turn into a
just
gorilla in a few months.
he just has been drinking gorilla blood. I mean,
Right.
how cool would that be if they're just like we've been injecting this man with gorilla blood, and it's
Well, we've got 12 more episodes. Maybe they'll start drinking gorilla blood in one of them.
so we got so yeah. Aside from Urko in this episode, we got Jason. We've got Gorilla Sergeant.
Did Urko actually show up in this one? I don't think he
I
did.
don't think he did. I saw him in the credits and I was thinking about doing the Leonardo trivia, but I don't. If he
Next
did, he was
next
just barely in it.
episode is the right episode for sure.
Good.
Okay.
But you also have Gorilla Sergeant, a gorilla,
Mm,
first gorilla, and
mm,
second gorilla.
right. I wonder if this contractual stuff where Mark Leonard shows up in like, the credits of every episode, even if I assume he does appear in most of them. Like we didn't see Zayas either, so and
Hmm.
he's listed, is he or not? I don't remember.
No, he's not listed.
Not listed. Okay. Yeah.
I figure this was sort of one because those guys are sort of credited for many episodes, but not all of them. So I figured
Right.
it would be one of these things where we wander away from their territory once in a while and then wander back.
Yeah, well that's the thing. I mean, again, that's the original Star Trek structure. You have three stars, and then the rest of the cast is like now we think of Star Trek as a seven cast or eight cast show, depending on how you're thinking. But like after there's only the first season just has the two in the credits. I think they add DeForest Kelly in the second season to the opening credits. I think they do add James
Hmm.
Doohan in the third season. Like every season, they would like add one more actor to kind of seem like they're one of the stars of the show.
Did they ever add Andy Robinson to Deep Space Nine?
No, he is always a recurring.
Man, he's.
Doesn't feel like it, but yeah.
I think he's one of those where somebody said Kai Wynn was in like 9 episodes, but it feels like she's in half of them.
Yeah. I mean, that's Roddy McDowall's like one of the few actors that comes straight through ape makeup.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, when you think of Roddy McDowall, you think of him as a chimpanzee. It's sometimes hard to remember what he actually looked like.
But yeah, I'm looking ahead at the one where Prefect Barlow comes back, and that sounds like a pretty interesting little
Oh,
twist to the
okay.
story.
So John Hoyt's making his way back. That makes sense because he's a reasonably prominent actor to have on your docket.
It looks like it's going to be the equivalent of one of those baseball episodes.
Oh, okay. They're
It's
gonna
about a
play
horse
baseball against
race.
the apes.
No, it's about a horse
Oh,
race.
it's not baseball. It's too bad.
They're gonna do a horse race, or
Okay,
it's like we're gonna do a horse race.
we're gonna do a horse race. I guess he just likes games is the thing. He's a sports dude. He's a sports chimp.
Oh, here's a quote. Just to peek ahead a little bit, jump the timeline. A quote from Urko: "If the human is winning, kill him before he reaches the finish line. If the human is losing, kill him after he reaches the finish line."
Okay, that sounds like Urko.
Love it.
Um, well, did you have any other big points for this episode? I was just kind of rolling through my notes and reading the parts that seemed amusing.
Do you think that this is any part of this episode is presenting the idea that apes do not kill but humans do in any kind of good faith? Or is the whole thing supposed to be like we're supposed to think about how hypocritical it is to do that, to pretend that's the case?
I think you're not supposed to be behind gladiatorial battles is a pretty, bonk bonk on the head bit.
Yeah, but it's more like the thing where they shoot the human at the end. But also,
Mm.
yeah, not being behind gladiatorial battles is also very much part of it. Where
Well, those are just damn 38
remember
politics, isn't it? Like, make it seem like the other human shot the human.
remember the humans in Beneath, how they were like, we're not killing, we don't kill, we're not killing you, we make you kill each other. Where it's like, yeah, that's you, that is your killing.
I mean, I guess
That
just to
is
keep
you
the
killing.
the tension ramped up, the gorillas are like a little more psychotic and like directly hostile towards humans in the series. Like in the original movie, I feel like the gorillas were again they liked humans the least, and but we're not like actively assaulting them too much.
Yeah, they were
Well, they were
definitely going
nabbing
around with
them.
machine
Yeah, they're
guns
not.
and stuff.
Okay, I guess.
And
Yeah, I guess
also,
it's the talking thing, right? Because in the original, it is like
yeah.
hunting cows or something.
Well, remember in the battle they had humans all rounded up in a corral and were going to execute all of them
Yeah, yeah.
if
I guess
that
we
if
just.
that battle hadn't happened. So it's like
Yeah,
gorillas
you're
have
right. I guess it's we spend.
continuously proven to be like violent. It's just that they're not going to show gorillas executing a bunch of humans because that would just sort of be unpleasant,
I guess
and
in
these
the
movies
in,
don't
in
do that.
the past ones, it's like I guess we always just have the one psychotic gorilla general, right? And everyone, the other gorillas
Yep.
fall in line. Yeah, now that I'm saying that, I'm thinking, yeah, I guess the gorillas have been, throwing nets at humans. That's the thing. There's not so many nets in this TV show. It's more direct attacks. It's mostly nets in the movies. Their net budget in the original movies was insane. Oranges and
Yeah.
nets.
Yeah, but I'm thinking like the kind of analog is Koba in the newer series where
Yes.
he's a bonobo. He's a bonobo. He's not a gorilla, but he's like the guy who's like, yeah, kill the humans.
Right. Right. Yeah. They break the three basic ape forms in those movies.
But also the newer movies do the smart thing, which is that the idea that ape shouldn't kill ape and all that Caesar's teachings are sort of treated as like an optional thing and not the entire society believes in it, because we've seen apes basically break those rules every single time. Except for an escape where there's just three apes, so they had no power.
Right. I think we can still keep throwing the existential dread thing on here. How much of this is existential dread? And maybe I will revise by saying sci-fi slash, action adventure fun, since we are in a series that's gonna, I mean, it's always sci-fi because you got apes on screen, but we're, like you said, there's a bit of a Western vibe as well.
I'm gonna give this one 70% fun. There's like a little dread, but because obviously that large man could kill one of them if that'd end up playing out in a certain way. But um, nope, he just got shot by a gorilla.
I'll go slightly higher on the dread, 40-60 split, so 60 fun, 40 dread. Just, getting trapped in some weird um it's not dystopian's not quite the word, is it? Because you could have had this
Eh.
anytime, and it's. I don't think they're particularly happy. I mean, yeah, dystopia is the wrong word, but the setup is unfortunate, right?
Well, I guess it depends on your definition of dystopia, where I guess the apes are perfectly happy, even though they don't. it's never really clear like how much the apes get to eat or whatever. You know what I mean?
Are the apes
Yeah.
hungry?
Are the apes hungry? Are they bored? Are they I mean, are their needs attended to? Do they have medics? I kind of don't think they really have like great medicine, probably. I don't know. They have
But
prisons.
getting drafted to be in gladiatorial battles, that always seems like kind of a dreadful situation. So I mean, I'm not tossing it too high, but I'll put 40, 60. Almost the same as we did last week, where I gave it like 10% higher than you. But
Well, it's one of those things where it probably is a dystopia, but not for reasons that we'll ever get into. Which,
mm.
anytime that conversation comes up, where like, would you rather live in a different time, even if it was like the '60s or the '70s, and then the subject comes up about like dental science, and it's like, yeah, it actually kind of is the best time to be alive now because you're
Also,
much less
whatever.
likely to suffer horribly at the
And then
dentist.
if you came from the past to now, you'd be so thrown off by modern society, right? So it's like your time is your time, and that's why you're in that time. It's your environment does affect you as a person, you know?
Well, I think that humans are pretty adaptable, but because genetically we're not very different from people
You could
even
adapt. I'm just
300
saying,
years ago. Because the thing is, our lifespans are very, very long. So we do like evolution, like biologically, evolution is happening at a crawl. Where when every time someone says, "Oh, Idiocracy is a documentary," I try to hold my tongue and not explain to them, those stupid people, that Idiocracy is about eugenics, and eugenics doesn't happen. Like, the people who watched Idiocracy are still alive. They didn't evolve. They just got brainwashed. That's completely different. You're looking for like a cult movie. You're not looking for an evolution movie. But
yeah, I
anyway,
just think that's a funny movie, right? I mean, I'm entertained. Out my
but
balls, all
but you
that.
read about things. You read about things that happened even in like the Middle Ages, and you still can see like behavior patterns. When you read actual history, you see behavior
Yeah, see,
patterns
if you
that
went to the
make
Middle
sense.
Ages, I think you'd have trouble adapting. One, your language, even if they're speaking English, you're not going to understand them, right? And the
Yeah.
way, just the way life is, like the 60s, 70s would be shocking, but I think you'd probably adapt in a like, week or two, right? If you go to the Middle Ages, if you survive, it's probably going to take a while to get your feet on the ground, you know?
Yeah, but if you have a toothache in the Middle Ages, they just like cut your head off. That's it.
Yeah,
You're
really.
done. You're done, man. You're cooked. You're over.
Right,
It's over.
right.
If you have if you want a candy bar, then like too bad, never.
Mm.
Never again. Do you miss Pizza Hut? Too bad. We're gonna cut your head off because you have a hysteria because you want asked for Pizza Hut. Anyway,
So you
good
do
time to be
worse in the
alive,
Middle Ages than
regardless.
other people.
Regardless of being in hell, it's a good time to be alive.
All right. So bananas for this episode. Maybe I'll go first today. I'll give it three bananas, then a fourth banana. I'm gonna do like, pouring the 40. I'm gonna break that banana in half and toss it on Tolar's corpse.
I'm gonna take two bananas and then take two other bananas and just have them like punch each other, and so it's four bananas.
Is it people holding the bananas and using the bananas as weapons, or is it the actual bananas are fighting?
It's like holding a banana like it's a little puppet and going like, "Eh," and you're just like fighting, but four
Okay.
people doing it.
Okay. Well, you're giving it all four bananas and they're fighting, whereas my fourth banana has been
Yep.
broken and tossed onto a corpse.
I mean, they'll probably all four of them will probably get broken eventually if
Yeah.
people keep doing it. But
Right. Right. Well, they're getting mushed into some like banana ball or something.
better question, or not a better question, different question. Do you like this episode?
Not as much as the one before, not as much as the one after. So,
Okay.
um, like I'm, like my obvious template is like thinking of a old school Star Trek episode because that's kind of the basic format here. Um, so it maybe, I like trippy stuff. I have tripometers on other podcasts, so it doesn't have much of that, whereas the last one had a little more, and the next one does too, or at least has like more things to look at. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I like this. Okay, it feels like I said messy, but it's still, you know,
I wasn't pissed off
it's
that I watched it, and I didn't like just be like, "Arr," and go to 1.5 speed or something like that, Which I actually I never did
Yeah.
that for Space 1999 either. So
Yeah, I felt like I had to strain to find a message in here, but there is a message, but Space 1999 for all of the things that it does that make it great and a lot of fun, hard to find a message in any one of those damn episodes.
the thing that has going for it is there's always something trippy, shiny, and colorful to stare at. Whereas here,
Yeah.
not necessarily. And you might get to stare at some apes sometimes, but not in the same density you do in the first couple movies.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like when someone dies in Space 1999, it's just like here's this smoldering corpse, they're dead.
Yeah.
There's no tragedy. There might be a tragedy, but it's like the tragedy is always like the space murderer is killing people and now he's dead. And this is like at least gives me something more to chew on, even if I think maybe it might be a little bit unintentional, but
Mm.
very interesting like kind of jumpstart to these guys' adventures visiting this weird little crappy town
Right. But
full of murder.
the thing is, the crappy towns do make the world feel much bigger than the movies. Because the
Yeah,
movies all seem to take place in one spot. And then it just gets confusing Escape definitely makes things confusing when they're in LA. And then now you have to start thinking about California too. And keep that on your mind, by the way. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. This could have probably been. They could have probably used this plot for Battle for the Planet of the Apes and modified it a little bit, and it would have worked just fine. You know what I mean? Like it's just one of those mistakes where they think everybody will be wowed by a tank blowing up one thing and then showing the explosion six times. Like it's more interesting to see slice of life stuff.
yeah, it is fascinating that the show already seems to have a little more juice than Battle. And I don't hate Battle. I like watching all of those original Apes movies. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
easily the least.
Well, I mean, maybe that has something to do with that basically they were going to segue directly from Conquest into this movie or this series, and they just decided to squeeze one more little movie out and then
Yeah,
have
yeah.
people who write it who never seen Planet of the Apes movie.
Maybe it's like the Clone Wars, not the first hand-drawn one, but the CGI one where they put out the movie The Clone Wars and it was like hot garbage, which I guess was
Huh.
basically the first 3 or 4 episodes. Then the show itself is pretty good. It was like but that movie is like practically unwatchable.
Really? I thought people liked that movie.
No, they like the TV show. The movie is
Huh.
usually. I mean, I guess there's someone out there that loves it, but I feel like the Clone Wars movie is usually considered to be pretty bad.
Weird.
It was easily the king of worst theatrical Star Wars release. Although
Oof.
that's now,
5.9.
I think that's now. What is Rise of Skywalker now on a?
Rise of Skywalker is at 6.4.
Okay, a little higher in Clone Wars, but yeah. So I guess that one really. I mean, people are kind of like curdling on the last Star Wars as well. But that's not what we talk about here. We're talking about apes. Star Wars
Phantom
is a few
Menace is
years in the future.
6.5. Phantom Menace is
I
6.5.
will put that.
One,
I agree with that. I think Phantom
I
Menace should be
disagree.
above Rise of Skywalker.
I think Rise of Skywalker is better than any of the prequels, but I have a specific love for that movie because it was so dumb that it made me enjoy Star Wars and made me realize that I hadn't enjoyed Star Wars in like 20 years.
Okay.
But
um,
as we go into on our other podcast, Films and Filth, which you're about to plug, I like the actiony schlock dumb stuff more than I
you
like
plug it. No, you plug it. I'll fight you
more
for
than I
you to plug
like
it.
I yeah, listen to our other podcasts like Films and Filth where I talk about how I like schlocky one-off action movies more than I like a consistent lore. Lore is stupid and dumb. Come at me, entire internet. I don't care. Nothing should continue. Planet of the Apes is doing it right. Just like here's some gladiators and then here's not gladiators anymore.
And here's some
Anyway,
apes. Here's Jason the
here's
gorilla.
some apes. Jason the Gorilla. Gorilla 1, Gorilla 2, Gorilla A. Anyway, other podcasts that you can check out include Time Enough Twilight Zone podcast, Luke Loves Pokemon, Game Show, Occult Disney, and
Probably something
that's
else.
probably something else. um,
That's all
and this.
Podcastio, podcastius.org. Go there or type the same thing into a Patreon and see what happens.
Yep. Wait,
Okay.
no, that's called Attack of the Clones. What's that one?
Mark's doing a search. You could be
Attack of the
ending the
Clones.
episode. I'll attack you.
People keep saying 6.6. It's better than Phantom Menace.
Hmm. Okay. Star Wars rating podcast coming soon.
It is called like Star 5 1 to 5 Star Wars.
No.
Get it?
I've just cut it
It's
there. I'm gonna cut
bad. You
it
should cut
there.
it there. That was
Cutting it
really
there.
bad.
Yeah. Maybe I'll even like have the music coming in too early or something.
Yeah.
Let me hit the record.